Hello, my dear curious and studious students of surgery. Myself, Dr. Mahesh Chaudhary. I am warm welcoming you in my surgery lecture series. This surgery lecture series contains entire surgery with anesthesia, with radiology, with orthopedic. So stay tuned with us. Let's start our surgery lecture series. Welcome, my dear students, in my surgery lecture number 91, that is the gangrene. In this lecture, we will cover the types of the gangrene, that is the dry and moist gangrene, its causes, treatment, diabetic gangrene, bed sores and frostbite. All points are covered in this lesson, in this lecture. Now we start with the gangrene. Gangrene is a death of portion of the body with putrefaction. It must be remembered that the gangrene is not just necrosis or infection, but in every case of gangrene, there should be infection with saprophytic putrefying bacteria which add rottenness to death of the part. Now the types of the gangrene, there are two types of gangrene. One is the dry and second is the moist gangrene. First we will see the dry gangrene. The characteristics features are, the part is gradually deprived of its arterial blood supply. There is the characteristics color change, first greenish and finally black due to hemolysis of the red blood corpuscles. The term mummification is applied to such dry and shriveled food which is exactly like that of a mummy. There is a mainly arterial occlusion, but the venous outflow remains unimpeded. Occlusion of the artery is by a chronic process, that is the erythema, with superadded thrombosis or due to an acute process of embolus or ligation of one of the main arteries. There is a delayed bright red line of separation appears between the lining and the dead tissues. This line indicates a process of the inflammation due to the contact of the dead with a still living tissues. There is a dilatation of vessels and an exudation of leukocytes. The condition which produce dry gangrene are senile gangrene, diabetic gangrene, Buerger's disease, Raynaud's disease, sudden vascular occlusion and embolism, ligation or injury to the vessels, frostbite, and due to the ischiotics, that is the strong acid or alkali. Dear students, here is the image on your screen, clearly seen the three types of the gangrene: dry gangrene, wet gangrene and gas gangrene. This image showing the types of the gangrene, that is the two main forms of the gangrene are dry and wet. Gas gangrene, a kind of wet gangrene, and dry is as a mummification. This is the typical dry gangrene. The next image is showing the typical mummification. This is also the dry gangrene. Now the second type of the gangrene is the moist. It is characterized by moist and edematous limb with color changes which vary among the dark red, green, purple and black owing to sulfurated hydrogen produced by a putrefactive bacteria acting upon the lipidated hemoglobin due to the hemolysis and with horrible odor. This horrible odor due to the nitrogenous products, idol and skatol, and also due to the non-nitrogenous producers, that is the sulfurated hydrogen, butyric acid and lactic acid. Now the characteristics of this moist gangrene are, first, when the artery is obstructed, no blood can leave the part, no fresh blood can enter, so liquefaction and bacterial infection occurs to cause moist gangrene. The part is cold, pulseless, swollen and edematous. The color also changes in this condition. Skin rays into the blebs contain foul smelling and fluid. Little attempts of formation of a line of demarcation. Dry gangrene is better than moist gangrene. Now this is the image of the moist gangrene on your screen, you are clearly seen. And this is the wet gangrene of the intestine. There is a acute superior and inferior mesenteric occlusion, and due to that there is a entire small intestine are become gangrenous, that is the wet gangrenous type. This is the second type where is the dry and wet both are seen. Now the causes of the gangrene: first, arterial occlusion, that is the atherosclerosis, senile changes, embolism, embolic gangrene, Raynaud's disease, Buerger's disease, cervical rib, syphilic gangrene due to the end arteritis obliterans, and second is the venous obstruction, that is the maybe DVT. Nervous disease is the syringomyelia, Tape's dorsalis, peripheral neuritis, hemiplegia and then leprosy. Now the traumatic gangrene, that is due to the direct injury to the main artery, and also there is an indirect injury due to the fracture. Next cause is the infective gangrene, that is the carbuncle, cancrum oris, post-operative gangrene, drainage of empyema and appendicectomy, gangrene of the scrotum, Fournier's gangrene, that is the and gas gangrene. And next cause of the gangrene is diabetic gangrene due to the arterial occlusion, that is due to the infection and peripheral neuritis. Next cause is the physical gangrene, heat, burn and cold gangrene due to the frostbite, ischiotics, that is corrosive acid due to the alkalis, electricity burn, X-ray irradiation. Now investigation is to be made in the gangrene that are almost similar to the chronic arterial occlusion, which have been discussed earlier in our previous lecture. And treatment is for general and local. General treatment includes the nutritious diet, control of diabetes, relief of pain and care of the heart. Local treatment is the conservative treatment, that is the care of the affected part should be taken. The part should be kept dry. Attempt should always made to keep the dry gangrene. The part may be kept elevated, which will reduce the pain. Part should not be heated. The part should be protected partially the local pressure area, that is the heel and the malleoli. And the gangrenous part should be carefully observed and toileted. Now the surgical treatment is the sympathectomy. As I explained you in our previous lecture, amputation, it has two aspects. First is the limb saving aspect to avoid much as possible. Second is the life saving aspect, that is amputation is required to save the life. And third is the direct arterial surgery, that is the embolectomy or thrombectomy, whatever the cause behind the gangrene, it should be removed. However, in Buerger disease and Raynaud disease, it has no place. Only amputation is mandatory. Now, next point of this lecture is diabetic gangrene. The diabetes possesses distinct problem which make their limb more liable to gangrene formation. Mainly three factors are playing major role, that is the sugar laden tissues of the diabetes lower their resistance to infection, so these patients are more susceptible to infection. Second is the second most important factor is liability of formation of atheroma in the arteries of the diabetes patient. It is very much more that 60% of death of diabetes takes place from the cerebral hemorrhage as a result of the atherosclerotic changes in the cerebral artery due to the diabetes and increase the sugar and viscosity of the blood. And third is the third peculiarity of the diabetes is the diabetic neuropathy. This impairs sensation and thus involves the lower limbs to more injuries and infections. Now the clinical features. Both dry and moist gangrene are seen in diabetes mellitus. Dry gangrene is only possible when infection factor is low and occlusive factor is high. Gangrene slowly progresses with the line of demarcation, where the moist gangrene, oftenly in young diabetic mellitus patients, infection plays a major role, very much spreading and often lethal. Clinical features like pain and ulceration of the foot. There may be the loss of sensation, peripheral pulse may be absent, change of the color and temperature where gangrene is impending. There may be the abscess formation. Now, dear students, here is the image on your screen is clearly seen, that is the diabetic ulcer, diabetic foot. Another image, same. Now the investigation is the bacteriological examination, that is culture and sensitivity should be done. Blood investigation, blood sugar, fasting and PP, HbA1c to detect the plasma level of sugar in the previous 6 months. Color Doppler study. Treatment is conservative, medical treatment started immediately. Proper antibiotic, care of the food for dressing and debridement according to requirement. Surgical treatment is the amputation to prevent the death from the septic shock, and in early stage widespread incision and drainage with debridement, removal of all necrotic tissues. Now the next point is the bed sore, that is also called as a decubitus ulcer. This is so called as this ulcer appears on the points of the pressure when a patient is long bedridden. Though in majority of old patients who are bedridden for the considerable period, bed sores may invariably occur, and there are a few predisposing factors for causing the bed sores. These factors are sensory loss of the part, malnutrition, moisture, anemia and improper nursing. And the treatment is prevention. All possible methods should be adopted to prevent the formation of the bed sores, usually form over bony prominences. The method to prevent bed sores are frequently change of posture. Part should be kept dry with powder. If there is a soakage with sweat, urine and feces, a ripple bed, water air bed has been used for this. Avoid from the formation of the bed sores. PVC block, foam or sheepskin may be used to protect the pressure point. Now dear students, here is some picture of the bed sores. Second image of the bed sores, the superficial skin is gangrenous. And third image, the showing the early stage of the bed sore and the late stage of the bed sore. Now next point of the prevention, that is the adhesive film should be used at the pressure point. Bony prominences, that is the on opposite, may be used to prevent soakage of the part. Aerosol silicone spray to keep the part dry. HB% maintained at normal level. Surgical treatment is there. Excision of the ulcer followed by the flap pedicle skin grafting is required. Now the next point is the frostbite. This condition occurs due to the exposure to cold. This is mainly seen in the climbers and exposures. It is sometimes seen in elderly debilitated individuals when exposed to very cold climate. Temperature in the deeper parts reaches, that is the 10 degrees centigrade, and at a minus 5 degrees centigrade the cells gradually become frozen. Frostbite only occurs due to the prolonged exposure to very cold weather, and there is a pathology for the severity of the frostbite grouped in 4 clinical types. That is the first degree edema and redness, second is formation of blisters, third is the necrosis of the skin, and fourth degree of the frostbite is gangrene which requires amputation. Basic pathology is vasospasm, damage to vessels wall, sludging of blood and widespread thrombosis followed by capillary permeability. If rewarming, there is a formation of edema. Now the treatment, rapid warming of the tissue is the most important aspect of the treatment. The frozen tissue should be kept in warm water in 40 degree to 44 degrees centigrade. Patient kept in sterile environment. Frost action vasodilator, that is the papaverine, fast acting vasodilator should be used, papaverine, and surgical treatment is the blisters open and removal of the necrotic skin. And if there is a gangrene, amputation should be performed. If the thrombosis is the major problem, heparin or dextran may be used to lessen the degree of the small vessel thrombosis. Now dear students, here is the image of the frostbite on the pulp of the fingers, exposure to the severe cold temperature. This is the another image of the frostbite on the foot. Dear students, here is the end of our surgery lecture number 91, that is the gangrene. Thank you.